there, right on my shoulder.
There she is.
Yeah.
Lou Russell, everybody. Hi, Kevin Eikenberry here, back again for another Friday lunchtime, at least Eastern time, chance to chat and do some Q&A. But today I have a guest, and today we're changing it up a bit. And my guest is Lou Russell. If you don't know the lovely and talented Lou Russell, you are about to. If you wherever you are live with us, right? If you're with us live, just put in the chat where you're at. Just say hello and tell us where you're at, so Lou will know that. Lou Russell and I have known each other for many years. We both live in Indianapolis. We only see each other when we actually schedule breakfast, which doesn't happen over here. She's got over her shoulder. And I called her yesterday and said, Lou, would you join me? She said,
and it wasn't early either.
Hey, I offered you an earlier time slot, and you said I could do 4:45 or 5 o'clock or whatever time it was. So we talked at 5 o'clock last night, and here we are at noon today doing this. And so, Lou, I'm so glad you're here. Lou, I didn't do what I should have done, which was to prepare an intro. So Lou Russell is a trainer extraordinaire, instructional designer extraordinaire, and has done a lot of work and a lot of writing about project management for trainers and project management for leaders. And so what did I leave out, Lou?
No, that's about right. Yeah. So project management is what I think for us, or for me, the idea was to not make project management so complicated. Like, I think most people just, no offense, Project Management Institute, but most people really like to make it horrible. And so my philosophy is, let's make this realistic. We don't have time for any of that crap. So that's kind of what I think.
And so we're going to talk. So what I wanted to do today was to bring together all of the challenges that we're facing, or all the reality of remote work with what's happening in the project management world in the same time. And that's why we're here. And if you're here with us live, you can ask any question about remote or project management. Doesn't have to be in the things that I've prepared, but I do have a few things that I will throw up here for us to get started chatting about in a second. But just let us know what questions you have. In fact, as a reminder, I will put this up so that you can remember to do that. Have a question, ask us, and we'll just leave that up. But I'm going to ask some questions, just some prompters for Lou and I to have a conversation. And again, feel free to comment. Feel free to ask a question. We have the lovely and able Marissa with us. She is not on. She can't say hello right now because of the way this works, but she is monitoring LinkedIn, and if something comes in there, she will let me know so we can get you in terms of your questions and comments. So, Lou, are you ready?
I'm ready. I love this tool, but it kind of scares me, like something bad is about to happen when it goes bad like that.
Nothing bad is going to happen, Lou. We are working with a net, not without one. Okay, so from your perspective, and so Lou, what we didn't say about you is that you are a part of a pretty large technology organization. And so you get, not just with clients, but within your own organization, get a lot of sort of real-time data about what's going on with project teams. So let's just start there. How are your project teams, or how are project teams in general doing right now from your perspective?
Well, I think it's interesting because, projects nowadays, you have always got, nobody does one by themselves, right? So you always have multiple people, and you also have people coming in and out of the projects and all that kind of stuff. And that's easy when you're in the same hallway, but it's really hard when you're off at home. So the communication has to be really intentional. And I would say that a lot of the folks that are in our IT organization, they like to work alone. A lot of them would prefer to work alone, but we're going to get into trouble if they aren't collaborating with each other. We have to be very intentional about that, or the projects are not going to come out right.
So you're saying that collaboration is I think when we send people to work from home, and not necessarily like the light switch that we did a month ago here.
Right.
But when we send people to work from home, that's always one of the things at risk, which is collaboration and communication.
Right.
So what are you saying now in terms of what people can be doing? How can they be doing it better? What advice or what tips do you have?
Well, everyone's totally addicted to Zoom, of course. So we spend a lot of time on Zoom looking at each other like the Brady Bunch. And then we just, I think you have to just really be organized. And I'm only like a 3/4 organized person. I don't know that I'm a full organized person. So you need to keep notes. I mean, you need to be really careful about the next week when we talk about this and we're all together. What are we going to do? So you have to be a little more organized. You have to have some agreement about what kind of tools. Don't try to use all the tools that you have. Try to find some that work just with this particular group. And really, we're trying really hard at Mosier Consulting to keep people feeling like they're still part of the family, and I think that's really important as well.
So there's a bunch of stuff that you just said there. I want to make my first observation would be that, for the last 5 years, literally, I've been telling people, use your webcams, use your webcams, use your webcams. And if you're uncomfortable with using the webcam, you got to make the webcam your friend. And about 5 weeks ago, I shot a video that we posted. It's all over, including on YouTube, if you're there, and on LinkedIn, if you're there, about how to make the webcam your friend. And that's a true statement. It still is a true statement. However, we have a new phenomenon where people went from not using them at all to using them all the time. And so they listened too well, I suppose. But I mean, the point is that, and now there's some psychologists saying that there's stuff and all of that's fine. And I'll probably dive into that some other day. And you shared an article with me last night that I've looked at, I pretty much agree with. Yeah. But here's the thing. In some cases, while we need to make sure we're getting our collaborative work to work now, a lot of people are having an awful lot of meetings. And to your point, well, let's just back up. Most people's experience is that meetings suck. And all we did was have more of them, and they're sucking more now, right? Like, I'm sorry if my mom is listening. She didn't want to hear me say it that way. But the reality is that having another meeting isn't necessarily going to solve it. So I think, Lou, your point about we got to get better and more intentional about the meetings we are having. You want to add to that?
Yeah, I think I'm doing probably more multitasking now than I was before. I don't have as much control over the multitasking. And multitasking is super bad for your brain. It just breaks it. It makes it very tired and all that. And you just I don't remember what we talked about an hour ago. Because I got to hurry up and get on with Kevin. We're doing a facilitator party, remote party this afternoon. I have to hurry up, get there. And then I have to hurry up to go talk to the compliance person, and I'm like, it's too much.
I don't want to know what kind of party you're having before the compliance person. I'm going to leave that to you. But the point is that that's what's happening. We got a lot of people who are being more taxed in many ways, right? And that's not even the fact that while we're asking people to be more collaborative, they're living in isolation.
Right, exactly. I think, and it's still, and there's fear and anxiety there. And anyone that says they're not worried about it is totally lying to themselves, right? We have this fear and anxiety that's in us. We're holding it. We've been holding it for a couple months now, and we still don't know when we get to put it down. But that also impacts your thought process, right? That makes it, everybody knows about emotional intelligence. Well, our emotional intelligence right now thinks we're in big trouble. So it's trying to block us from having good thoughts or remembering things. It just wants us to be, fight, flight, and freeze, be safe. So we were talking about, we have to acknowledge that when we're working, our brains are broken. And because our brains are broken, one of the things I was talking to somebody about yesterday was I have gotten much better at rereading the stuff I'm writing because I've been so awful. The stuff I write, I look and I go, what is that? And then you go, oh, thank God I've got the discipline to, go ahead and read it over. I'd be very embarrassed.
Well, my team is my safety net in that regard most of the time. I got feedback this week about process, Lou. I said, Kevin, could you just let us read it before you post it? I'm like, I probably should do that better than I have a few times lately. Nothing catastrophic, but less than perfect. For sure. And it didn't have to be perfect, right? But something closer. So, I was going to go here last, but you mentioned it, so I want to go here. We've got some other questions, and I just want to say, that scroll that's going across, I mean that. Yes, I have some questions, but the magic of what we have here is if you type a question, and I see it, I can put it right up here immediately. I don't have to retype it or anything else. So if you've got something you want us to expand on, or if you've got a question about remote work, remote leadership, project management, the intersection between them, just let us know and we'll be happy to answer. But a little bit more about this, are our brains broken? You're saying, yes, they are. And so the fear and anxiety piece, but what else is making it hard for us now to try to do work now?
Well, I think the big thing that drives, anxiety and fear is that we don't. I'm kind of a person that likes to, I like project management, so I like to know due dates. I like to have that comfort of due dates, and you can check stuff off, and you can, know when it's going to be over, and we don't know any of that, right? So that we're still left in this sort of in between purgatory kind of thing in our brains, right? And your brain really does know it. It's trying to save you. It's trying to, so you have fight, flight, or freeze. That's all you got. And so some days of the week I am fighting, and some days of the week I am freezing, and some days of the week I'm just brutal, right? And I see that. And I don't know, I think Kevin, you and I were talking about it, the fact that, there's usually one day a week, usually a cloudy day for me, that I'm just, again, roll up in the corner, right? And everyone says, yeah, that happens to us too, so I think we have to be good to each other because we're all in the same situation. And for the most part, everyone is doing the best that they can. So that's what you do.
There's at least two things there that you said that I want to talk about. And I'll go to the last one first. And hopefully I'll remember the first one. The last thing you said is, here's the thing. The way you described it is different day, I'm in a different place. Different hour, I'm in a different place. And so you may generally be in a different place than the other members of your project team.
Sure.
But it's always changing. One of the things that I think people are more aware right now, I think, than any time in my life, that except for maybe 9/11, that they need to be empathetic. And people are actually working harder at being empathetic right now. We need to remember that later, because right now it's easy to see, well, the simple level of it's not simple, but the simple level for me to talk to people about this is, listen, you've got some people who are working for you that live alone.
Right.
A whole set of stuff. You got some people who are living with a whole family, and they're trying to school,
trying to work. Yeah.
And they're trying to be a spouse, and they're trying to work, trying to do all that stuff, and their spouse is at home working too, or their spouse is, or significant other is, working on the front lines in a healthcare situation.
Right.
Or like we could go on and on with all the things and say, oh yeah, their situations are different. So that gets people to a place I got to be empathetic. You're taking us to a whole nother level, which says, day to day, hour to hour. It's sunny today, so I'm feeling better, right? And it's not going to be tomorrow. So just so if you haven't seen the weather in Indy,
don't come out.
So I think that's a super important point that you just made, that we need to know it about ourselves, but as leaders and as project leaders, we need to be thinking about that for our teams and know that they're not necessarily where we are exactly, even though we may all be broken, right? We're not all in the same place.
Well, and I think that's true. And you and I have, been studying leadership for quite a while, and also practicing it. And I know for my team, I have to step up for them, and I have to have regular meetings with them and communicate with them when I really just want to go sit down somewhere for a little bit. You know what I mean? But as a leader, I have to share. Of course, I'm empathetic to them. And because as I'm a director in the company, I'm in charge of, I make myself in charge of every employee. You know what I mean? If anyone needs something, a lot of the employers, and including us, we have access to insurance that they can go talk to somebody if they want to. And I really recommend anyone, if you have that need, really do it. It will just help you so much. So I think as leaders, it's a little bit different. You can be scared. You are scared. You can admit that you're scared, but you still have to take care of your team.
I think that's exactly right. I want to go back to one other thing you said, and then we got a question that came in from LinkedIn, which I'll give you in a second, which is a general question. But the other thing that you said a few minutes ago was about our brains, project managers, we want deadlines. Our brains don't know when things are going to end. We don't know when we're going to go back to work. We don't know when school's going to start. We don't know if we can watch the fireworks in the 4th of July.
Right.
Right. And so you're exactly right that's something our brains need. And so as leaders, right now, we need to be giving people deadlines.
Right.
And things that they can control and they can get their arms around and they can stay on. And I'm not saying that we need to be hard and cruel taskmasters and try to get them going faster than before, but we actually are helping our teams when we give them deadlines, when we give them a sense of this is what we got to accomplish. It's actually helping more than we realize.
I think that's true with me too. I mean, if I didn't have work to do, I don't know what would happen, right? You can kind of hide in your work also. We do that just like they do.
So here's the question that came in from LinkedIn. I know no more than what's here. What is the most difficult work in project management? What's the hardest part about it, Lou?
I would say the hardest part of it from a mechanical perspective is actually stabilizing the schedule. And people have these great software packages, that they can just get so confused. They have no idea what they're doing. And in that space, I would recommend that you bring it up a level, make it much higher than don't make it granular, make the task bigger. And every task has one name, one date, and one task. And then you put it together like a little puzzle. But come up, don't try to be down in the weeds because you'll never make it. Don't forget your brain's broken. So we have to use big chunks.
So you are offering anyone who's here a tool that they can download. And so here's the link to it. And I'm going to go put this for everybody else while you talk about this tool and what you're offering to people, which is really quite amazing, everybody, to get the chance to get this. You don't have to, give her an email or anything. And I'm going to go put this into places where you can actually click it. But there it is. So tell everybody what it is.
Well, this is a project charter template, basically, and some of you may or may not know what a project charter is. Ironically, most people that do projects skip the project charter entirely and jump right into the schedule, which is death. I mean, complete and total death. The project will be destroyed because you've locked down the numbers and the dates, and no one's going to let you out of them. So the idea of a project charter is 45 minutes or less. Fill out a couple of things that are just so you know what you're up against. It's sort of the what am I up against part of project management. You kick off with that. The things that are in there are things that you would probably recognize. We do business objectives. We do scope diagrams, which are real fun. Got Kevin to do some of those once.
Not once. We still do them.
Yeah.
Maybe as often as we should.
Yeah, those diagrams are the bomb. We do constraints. We have things like what's our communication strategy? Who do we talk to? And then the other one is, how do we define done? Like at the beginning, how do we define done? Versus at the end when we're fighting that it's not done, right? So very simple. The first time you do it, it'll take a little bit longer, but eventually it'll be 45 minutes or less. So go have it. Go get it.
I should have said this, and of course, not everyone who's listening now or watching now was here when we started, but I should have said that at the start, that I had Lou come in and work with our team. This has been several years ago now, but I think pretty much all of the same team members are here. And we, with maybe a couple of exceptions, but we really have taken some of the things that you taught us and put them to use. And when we put them to best use, we get the best results.
Yes, that's
shocking. Correct. It is shocking that is true. So let's ask maybe a little bit more general question and a couple more things before we go. Of course, if you're listening or watching and you've got a question, we just did one, you can send it to us and we'll take care of it, try and answer it. But just right now, on the 24th of April, what are your tips for remote project managers, which is what they all are right now?
Yeah, I guess I'm going to go Luddite again. I think it's been really helpful for me to make that chart, just an Excel spreadsheet that has all the projects that are in the queue. Yeah, I always have my little book with me too, right? My brain book. But I have this spreadsheet that I can bring up, and it has things like the telephone number that we use for our meetings. It has the links to where we put that YouTube stuff. So it's sort of like I have it in one place. So when my brain does explode, which it will sometime today, of course, you just sit there and go, or Zoom does something crazy. Zoom hates me, by the way, just telling you. So thanks for not being on Zoom.
Well, I won't tell you about the day we were live on Facebook and I got Zoom bombed.
Yeah. Oh, did you? Oh, I didn't.
Well, as Marissa would say, Kevin, it could have been worse, and it could have been, and it probably was really only about 3 or 4 seconds, but it felt a lot longer than that to me. I guarantee you.
Yeah. Or just there's a lot of stuff happening with that, but we're all in it. So I keep thinking, maybe I should take a class in this or something. But really, I really like the whole. I mean, think of it like those things like a napkin or something for your kids to play all the things at a restaurant. They can't do it anymore, right? But like it's just a big piece of paper in Excel that just has everything that I really work on all the time. I can get to it quickly. And I can also, I think I'm a big list maker. We got to, at the beginning of the day, I have to write down, I got to get these 3 things done today, and then I'll put 5 more things. But, and usually I get most of it done.
I'm glad that this made the list, is what I'm saying. I'm glad this made the list. When we got together before we went live, we were just chatting, and you said something that I thought we'd talk about before we go too. And it's really been on my mind. It's been on the minds of a lot of our clients that I've been talking to in the coaching call that I had about an hour ago. And I'm pretty confident the one that I'm going to have a half hour from now will come up again. And here's the question. What about the technology? Like, everyone, you use the word Zoom, and Zoom is almost becoming like Kleenex. Like it's becoming ubiquitous in a month, right? And so I think there's been a lot of people, what's the right tool? And I've been asked that question 100 times. What tools should we be using? What are your thoughts about technology right now?
Remember, I get paid by a technology company, so
I know that you're not a Luddite in that you don't want to use technology, but I know that we were chatting about what,
and we would love you to buy some of our technology as well. So, but
MOSFERIT.com, everyone. MOSFERIT.com.
And so what I think is interesting, and I don't know if anyone else does this, but so we have Slack and we have Outlook and we have all the social media stuff, right? And we have SharePoint, and we probably have other stuff that I can't even think what it is. OneNote, and we have everything. So I feel like it's sometimes that you go in and you click, trying to find something, and then you don't even remember what you were looking for. You get so confused because there's so much. And we don't have a good protocol for that right now. I've been trying to work on that. I think the people that are more technical, the tech people are hanging in Slack a lot, and then they just talk, which I love that because then it doesn't fill up your inbox. I think inbox shouldn't be like a conversation. It's too ugly. But it was funny because my boss a couple days ago, he said, "Have you looked at your Slack? I sent you a message." And, you always feel like, oh no, I didn't look at my Slack. I looked at all the other things. So yeah.
But I think the point that I would just reinforce what you said is that this is not likely, especially now that we're 5 weeks in to pretty much everyone doing this. The solution is likely not another tool. The solution is either learn to use the tools you've got, or probably more importantly in this case, is use the tools you've got for the right purposes, right? You said, email's not for conversation. It's not. Don't forget this thing. It's one of your technology tools. Don't forget.
I gotta keep an eye on that.
Or the webcam I'm pointing at. And so let's use the tools we've got, learn to use them better, and use them for the right things. Those would be my thoughts on all that. Yeah,
so it's funny you should say that because I've been using an app called, I think I told you, Powtoon. It's like a cartoon, Powtoon. It's pretty cute if you want to look at it. But and then I had to use iSpring, which is a baby LMS sort of thing to do the grading. I'm trying to do compliance training with, tape and string, basically trying to get all these like kind of free apps. And what really ticks me off is they always have some, oh yeah, this here, you can use this for free. And then they go, oh, wait, you can't publish it, or, oh, wait, you can't, oh, you can only have 5 questions. You can't have 8. Well, why didn't you tell me that in the beginning? So this bait and switch crap is really driving me crazy, and all the apps are doing that. And I think it's so annoying. they don't tell you the truth up front, and then they you kind of get into it. You've been working on it, right? And then all of a sudden, like, yeah, no, that's not going to work. Great.
And so all of us are dealing with the stuff, right?
Yep.
So I'm going to ask just one last thing, Lou, and that is what, I guess maybe two more things, because I can seldom stop with one. Final thoughts about what people might want to or need to know about project management at a distance right now.
Well, use your project charter. That's the first thing. If you don't have it laid out in the beginning, like who's playing, like the kind of stuff we just talked about, very simple. The one that you'll get is like a interactive one, so it's pretty easy to fill out the blanks. So that works. I think that's part. I think be really healthy. Make sure you're eating right and getting sleep and drink wine. I think that's incredibly important. I'm a big fan of that. I have an 8 o'clock rule, though. It's like not 8 o'clock I go to bed. Thinking about it, though. Yeah.
So you can get that tool that Lou's talking about right there, kevinikenberry.com/project charter. And hopefully you got it where you can click it in wherever you're watching us. But if not, you can certainly get it there. And we hope that you'll do that. Lou, anything about how can people get a hold of you, find you? Anything at all about how they can connect with you if they want to do that? If they're not, I mean, chances are wherever they are, they can click a link on your name and find you.
Probably.
Seriously, how can people, if they want to get a hold of you in some other way, or where can they?
Yeah, I would say the easiest. I have a couple of different emails, but the easiest email is just Lou, Lou, at russellmartin.com, russellmartin.com. So that'll come right into my inbox box somewhere. and then yeah, just I'm usually out on LinkedIn quite a bit, and not as much as Kevin probably, but LinkedIn is probably more of my space, or Facebook once in a while. That's sometimes that I have to walk away from that, but
I spelled it right. Yes.
Yes. Perfect. Yes.
Well, I know how to spell it, but the question is, did my fingers do what they were supposed to do?
And
back to our editing conversation earlier, right?
Yeah. And just to be like, just to be like a little bit marketing, we don't just do project management. We do strategic leadership, and we do emotional intelligence workshops, and we do a lot of assessment work. So we have a great process for hiring. So the interesting thing right now is we're hiring people like crazy because of a contract that we have. In the world right now, they're either not hiring anyone or they're hiring everyone, right? There's like only a black and white. So that's a really interesting product. So if you're interested, just give me a shout.
I will tell you all that if you haven't figured it out yet, I like this woman a lot. And if you haven't figured out yet that she's not only smart, but also fun, you haven't been paying attention. So in all seriousness, I recommend Lou highly, and the work that she does highly, and hope that you will, if you found this useful, that you will check out what they're doing. And I just want to thank her for saying, okay, Kevin, why not? I'll try this with you. I guess I trust you enough to try it. So Lou, thanks.
It's not the first time I've said that.
I'm sorry?
So it's not the first time I've said that. Okay, Kevin.
Well, that's true, but it's the first time you had to do it live with me, with other people watching in this kind of context, right? Yeah, there have been lots of times when I've said, hey, what about this? What do you think? What do we want to try this? She goes, sure, but not anything quite like this. So thank you, Lou, and thank you all for being here, and thank Marissa for being in the background today. And I will tell all of you this. I don't know about Monday in terms of whether I'll be live in these locations. Probably. We're going to continue to try some new stuff. I'm going to have some other guests hopefully in the coming days. Let us know here or by sending us an email, info@kevinikenberry.com. If you have questions of any kind, let us know. And I will put this up before we go. If you haven't seen this is the portal that we put together, came out on the 18th of March, where we're adding content to it every day to support remote workers and remote leaders every day. And we hope that you'll go take a look at all of the resources there. We're trying to curate them in a way makes it easy for you to find stuff that would help you, and hope you'll do that. And I hope that when I'm back, you'll come back and join us again. So I hope that you have a wonderful weekend, that you will be well, be safe, and be remarkable. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Kevin.